This time around, I'm making things right for Lucas. Now that I'm back, reborn, I've decided to put my sister's name on the marriage license application. This life, I'm one step ahead. I'll let my sister wear the wedding dress, let her have the engagement ring. I'll personally make sure every one of their chance encounters happens. When he takes my sister to Beijing, I won't hesitate to head south for college at the university. Because in my past life, even when I was over 50, he and our son were still on their knees, begging me for a divorce. Begging me to let him and my sister finally be together. Reborn, all I want is to spread my wings and fly, far away from romance. Just fill in the name and give it to me. Lucas tapped the table impatiently. I stared at the marriage application, my fingertips lightly tracing the rough edge of the paper, my thoughts drifting. Last time, I filled in my own name with the solemnity of handling a sacred decree, then excitedly dragged Lucas to buy candy to celebrate. He ended up yelling at me, all because he was in a hurry to get back to Sarah, who had her period, to make her a brown sugar drink. Yeah, I know, I mumbled, trying to sound casual. I glanced up at his agitated expression, at the hand that kept checking his watch. He was wearing a white shirt today, sleeves rolled up to his elbows, revealing his well-defined forearms. I remembered Sarah loved it when he dressed like that. She said it made him look clean and fresh. If you're busy, go ahead, I said, forcing down the bitterness rising in my throat, trying to sound nonchalant. I'll turn it in myself after I fill it out. Just as I expected, he looked relieved, and his tone softened a bit. Don't worry, now that we're married, I'll take responsibility for you. But you need to stop being jealous of Sarah. If people find out, it'll be bad for her reputation. I said nothing. In my past life, I'd explained myself countless times, but in his eyes, I was just the jealous, petty older sister who couldn't stand her sweet, innocent younger sibling. He didn't say anything else and hurried off. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart, memories of my past life flooding my mind. On our wedding night, he used the excuse of taking care of his sick sister, and didn't come home at all. When he was stationed with the army, he only took Sarah, saying she'd never been to Beijing. Even on the day our son was born, Lucas wasn't there. He was busy comforting Sarah, who had just gotten divorced. And then, just before I died, my son was still pleading with me. Mom, just divorce Dad. You're not as good as Aunt Sarah in any way. Dad's been miserable with you for so many years. Just let him go. Lying on my sickbed, I looked at my indifferent husband. He remained silent. His deathly silence was a tacit agreement. I bit down hard on my lower lip until I tasted blood, then slowly released it. No, this time I wouldn't make the same mistakes. I picked up the pen and in the applicant's name section, slowly wrote 2 words. Sarah. Lucas, since you love her so much, then your wish is granted. I handed the completed application to the clerk, took the marriage certificate, and walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. I wasn't sad instead. I felt an indescribable sense of relief. In my previous life, after our parents died in the line of duty, Sarah and I were taken in by Lucas's family. Sarah was a sweet talker and knew how to get on their good side. So Lucas's parents doted on her more than their own daughter. Lucas's mother had even started planning early on for Sarah to marry Lucas. But all it took was Sarah saying, I don't want to compete with my sister, for Lucas to willingly marry me. In reality, she just wanted to keep Lucas on the hook after all. He was just a company commander back then, and she was waiting for someone better. I went to the school to find out about all the things I needed to prepare for college, and how much living expenses would be. Only then did I head back feeling reassured. Back at Lucas's family quarters, I heard Sarah's coy voice as soon as I walked in. Lucas, you came back to keep me company instead of my sister. Won't she be angry? I can keep her company anytime, but you always have bad cramps when you get your period. I can't leave you home alone. Sarah giggled happily, then pretended to be sad. Will you still be nice to me after you marry my sister, Lucas? Of course, Lucas said firmly. Who else would I be nice to? If your sister isn't nice to you, I'll divorce her. I clenched my fists tightly to hold back the overwhelming sorrow. So even in this new life, hearing my own husband be so cruel still made me sad. I composed myself and walked into the room as if nothing had happened. Lucas came out of Sarah's room, a hint of embarrassment on his face. I just saw Sarah wasn't feeling well, so I went in to check on her. I just hummed an acknowledgement and turned to go back to my room. In my past life, I argued with him countless times over their overly familiar behavior. This time, I didn't want to waste my time and energy. "Renee," he called after me. "How about we buy some wedding candy to give out to the wives in the family compound?" I glanced at him in surprise, then figured he was probably trying to compensate me for not making a scene. No need. There's no point in such formalities. He looked stunned, probably finding it hard to believe I'd refused the suggestion. "Is it because you're angry that Lucas was taking care of me, sis?" Sarah came out of the room, looking wronged and innocent. And she was wearing the linen-style suit I had specifically bought for our wedding photos. In my previous life, I had scrimped and saved for half a year to buy it, and never even wore it once. Seeing my gaze, Sarah stammered an explanation. "I saw this outfit on your bed today, sis. I thought it looked nice, so I tried it on and forgot to take it off." She looked down, fidgeting with her fingers, like a child who'd done something wrong. Lucas instinctively started, "Renee, don't." I cut him off, my voice calm. "It looks good on you. You can have it. I haven't worn it anyway." I remembered the faint smell of blood and sweat on that linen suit, running home crying in the middle of the night. Just thinking about it now makes me sick. Under their surprised gazes, I went back to my room and locked the door. I took out my document bag, which held my acceptance letter to the university. In my past life, I always loved the South, especially since it was for my favorite major, finance. Last time, for Lucas, I gave up my studies and willingly stayed home to serve my in-laws. This time, thankfully, it wasn't too late. I just wanted to live for myself. I pulled out the calendar. 10 more days, and I could leave this place. Time was tight, but I had to make every second count to prepare. A knock suddenly sounded at the door. I opened it impatiently. Lucas was holding a bowl of noodles, his tone gentle. "You must be hungry. I made you some noodles." For a moment I was dazed. In my past life, he was either cold as ice to me or spoke harshly. I hadn't seen this gentle version of Lucas in a very long time. "No thanks, I already ate out." "How could you? You were always so reluctant to spend money, weren't you?" His words stung. I used to be reluctant to spend money, scrimping and saving, spending most of the money I earned from part-time jobs on him, buying him things. Now that I was going to university, there were many expenses, and every penny had to be carefully managed. I looked up at him, my voice calm. "I remember a few days ago, I gave you $50 to buy wedding supplies. You don't seem to have bought anything. Can I have it back?" He froze, then awkwardly explained, "Oh, that money. I used it to buy Sarah some new shoes." I couldn't help but roll my eyes. So predictable. Always the same. "Well, if there's nothing else, I'm going to bed. I'll give you the money tomorrow." His voice carried a hint of annoyance. "We're husband and wife. Do you really have to be so calculative?" I couldn't help but scoff. "So, you used the money I worked hard to save to buy things for someone else, and I'm not even allowed to be upset about it?" He knew he was in the wrong but still muttered stubbornly, "Unreasonable." I couldn't be bothered to argue with him anymore and slammed the door shut. Over the next few days, I sold off some worthless belongings, things filled with memories from my past life. Now they just look like cheap junk. I packed them all up and sold them to a scrap collector for a meager sum. In the afternoon, as I continued packing, Lucas stood before me, holding $50, and said stiffly, "Here's your money." I took the money and nodded. "Thanks." He looked at me, his eyes complicated, then his gaze fell on the luggage I was packing. "I was planning to have Sarah come with me to Beijing first. You don't need to pack." My hands didn't stop packing as I nodded. He seemed a bit unused to my attitude, a little uneasy. "What's wrong with you lately? You're like a different person." I turned my head impatiently, not wanting any more complications. Although Lucas didn't love me, if he found out Sarah's name was on the marriage application, he might just re-register with me for Sarah's sake. I didn't want any more involvement with this despicable pair. Nothing, just wanted to pack my things. "So when you go to Beijing, I can move back to the countryside." He breathed a sigh of relief, then explained, "It's not that I don't want you to come with me to the base. It's just that Sarah hasn't seen Beijing yet, and wants to visit." I'll bring you over in a few months. I nodded indifferently. In my past life, he didn't come to get me for a full 8 years. It wasn't until Sarah married a military commander that he, disheartened, finally brought me to Beijing. He looked at me, unaccustomed to my silence. Usually, whenever we were alone, I would be chattering nonstop. Now that I was being so quiet, he was the one feeling restless. Didn't you always want to take wedding photos? Let's go tomorrow, okay? No can do. I'm planning to go shopping for college supplies tomorrow. Just as I was about to make an excuse, Sarah came in, affectionately looping her arm through Lucas's. Lucas, what photo studio? I want to take pictures too. Lucas smiled and patted Sarah's head. Okay, we'll all go together tomorrow. You guys go ahead. I have things to do tomorrow. Lucas frowned. What's more important than taking wedding photos? Let's take them first, and I'll go with you to buy whatever you need. His tone was firm, leaving no room for refusal. Sarah whined, exactly, sis. You're not avoiding it because of me, are you? I didn't want to argue too much, so I nodded in agreement. Early in the morning, I could hear Lucas in Sarah's room, softly coaxing her to get out of bed. The bright red number on the calendar reminded me, 4 days left. In 4 days, I could finally escape this life. Just as I was about to lose my patience, they finally dawdled out of the room. Lucas diligently fetched hot water and personally washed Sarah's face. I must have been blind before, naively thinking that if I just married him, he would treat me this way too. As I was lost in thought, Lucas awkwardly approached me, fiddling with a ring in his hand. Mrs. said it's trendy to wear wedding rings now. I bought one for you. I didn't take it. There was no such ring in my past life. Sarah saw it and immediately pouted, so pretty. I want one too. I generously offered, then you can have it. Lucas's face instantly darkened. Don't mess around. This is our wedding ring. Sarah snatched the ring, slipped it onto her own finger, and wiggled it at Lucas. Lucas, doesn't it look good on me? Lucas looked at Sarah, his eyes full of adoration, and nodded with a silly grin. Then, looking guilty, he turned to me and whispered, next time. I'll buy you one next time. I nodded indifferently. I'd heard his promises many times, none had ever been kept. At the photo studio, Sarah went first, even taking quite a few photos with Lucas. When it was my turn with Lucas, the photographer had just raised his camera when he awkwardly lowered it. Oh, sorry, I'm out of film. I inwardly cheered but kept a straight face. Oh well, never mind then. Walking out of the photo studio, Lucas pulled a train ticket from his pocket and handed it to me. It was for the trip to Beijing, 4 days later. I don't mean to leave you behind. I'll go get settled first and wait for you in Beijing. It's a 3-day, 3-night journey from here to Beijing. I don't know how he thought I could manage it, and besides, there was only one spot for accompanying family members. Where would I stay if I went? But asking now wouldn't yield a good answer. Seeing me take the ticket, Lucas visibly relaxed. Don't worry, even if you don't live in the military family compound, you're still my only wife. I'll be good to you from now on. I just think of Sarah as a sister. My expression softened a fraction. When had he ever spoken so gently? A car suddenly sped out from the corner, heading straight for us. Lucas pulled Sarah into his arms and dodged. In the chaos, someone pushed me. The car was coming towards me, but I was too scared to move, frozen stiff. The car swerved sharply, hitting me and dragging me along. The pain made my vision go black, and cold sweat poured down my face. The driver jumped out of the car, flustered, and stammered, "Miss, how are you? Are you okay?" A crowd gradually gathered, pointing and murmuring. My gaze pierced through the onlookers and settled firmly on Lucas. He was holding Sarah, comforting her, completely oblivious to my situation. Or maybe he had noticed and simply didn't care. A bitter smile touched my lips, and the last shred of hesitation in my heart vanished completely. So this was what he meant by "I'll be good to you from now on." The driver took me to the hospital. After a series of examinations, thankfully, it was mostly external injuries with minor internal organ displacement. Lying in the hospital bed, my whole body ached, but my heart was strangely calm. Late at night, Lucas walked in, his face etched with fatigue. When he saw I was awake, a flicker of panic crossed his face. "Renee, how are you feeling? Any better?" I stared at him coldly, Without a word. He wrung his hands, explaining uneasily. Sarah, she was a bit too shaken up. I stayed with her so. Under my gaze, he trailed off. Renee, listen to me. It was an emergency. Sarah was closer to me, so I instinctively. He paused, seeming to search for the right words. I didn't know you'd get hit. I cut him off. When are you planning to go to Beijing? He answered cautiously, tomorrow. Got it. I want to rest. You can go. Lucas wanted to say more, but ultimately, he knew better and left. The next day, Lucas's mother came. She carried a thermal lunchbox, her face all smiles. Renee dear, Lucas asked me to come take care of you. Are you feeling better? Much better. Thank you, Mom. As she served me soup, she chattered on. That boy Lucas, he's so clumsy. I don't know if he can take good care of Sarah. Halfway through, she seemed to realize something and awkwardly fell silent. Mom, actually the one Lucas married is Sarah. Lucas's mother froze, taking a long moment to process. You. What did you say? The marriage application I submitted was for Sarah. Lucas's mother looked shocked at first, then her expression turned to elation. Renee, you're such a good girl. Mom knew you were the most understanding one. She excitedly grasped my hand. Renee, thank you. Thank you for making this happen for them. I smiled faintly, saying nothing. Making it happen for them? I was just making it happen for myself. She had always favored Sarah. In my past life, even though I served her diligently, in her old age, she still left all her inheritance to Sarah. Mom, please don't tell Lucas and Sarah about this yet. Lucas's mother couldn't stop smiling. Okay, Mom understands. So, what are your plans for the future? In a few days, I'll be leaving too. I didn't reveal my specific destination. Lucas's mother wanted to ask more, her mind completely consumed with their wedding. I closed my eyes, pretending to be asleep. The day I was discharged from the hospital, I didn't tell anyone. Before leaving, I wrote a letter to Lucas. Lucas, by the time you read this, I'll already be on a train heading south. I know you've always liked Sarah. I'm letting you two be together. Between us, our fate has run its course. I wish you both happiness. I put the letter, the train ticket to Beijing, and the marriage certificate into an envelope and mailed it to the Beijing address. Dragging my suitcase, I hurried to the train station. The air was humid and warm. Standing in front of Shenzhen University, I still felt a bit dazed. Walking on campus, I felt a sense of rebirth. During the day, I sat in the classroom, listening attentively, absorbing knowledge. At night, I worked part-time at a small restaurant, waiting tables, washing dishes, so tired my back ached. But this exhaustion made me feel grounded. A month later, I gradually adapted to this busy and fulfilling life. But then I saw Lucas downstairs at my dorm. Renee, why would you do that? Why did you write Sarah's name on the marriage certificate? Why didn't you go to Beijing? His voice was filled with anger and confusion. I looked at him coldly. I don't want a husband whose heart is full of someone else. It's too disgusting, too unbearable. He looked at me in disbelief. How can you talk like that? You weren't like this before. I turned my face away, a wave of nausea washing over me. I didn't want to look at him anymore, not even for a second. Lucas, right now I just want to study hard and start a new life. Sarah is the one you've always wanted, isn't she? You two should cherish each other and stop bothering me. He ran his hand through his hair in frustration. What nonsense are you talking about? I've always thought of Sarah as a sister. I scoffed. What kind of brother and sister hug and kiss secretly? Once, I caught him secretly kissing a sleeping Sarah. I'll never forget the tenderness in his expression. A flash of shame crossed his face, quickly replaced by anger. Renee, stop talking nonsense. Sarah and I are innocent. Your so-called brother-sister relationship is utterly disgusting to me. Let me go. And let yourself go too. His face turned ashen, but he didn't know what to say. I remembered when I first arrived at the Lucas family home as a child, the fear of being dependent made me often not dare to eat my fill. At night, I'd be so hungry I couldn't stand it, sneaking into the yard to eat leaves, and Lucas saw me. He shared his snacks with me and comforted me, saying, Renee, don't be afraid. I'll protect you from now on. That moment of warmth made me fall for him, step by step. That's why, in my past life, Even though Lucas didn't love me at first, I was still willing to marry him. For the next few days, Lucas continued to hang around the school. I deliberately avoided him, not wanting any more contact. But I never expected him to find the principal and try to get me to drop out. When I was called to the principal's office, Lucas was sitting there formally. Fury burned inside me. Lucas, what on earth are you trying to do? What right do you have to ask me to drop out? I want you to come back with me. He stood up, walked over to me, and reached for my hand. I jerked back, dodging his touch. Go back. Go back to watching you and Sarah be all lovey-dovey? His face stiffened, then he flushed with anger. Renee, don't be ridiculous. We're husband and wife after all. Running off to the south like this, being long distance, what kind of situation is this? I almost laughed at his audacity. Lucas, your wife is Sarah. Her name is on the marriage certificate, and she's the one you're always thinking about. His face turned ashen, and he ground out through clenched teeth. That was a mistake. Mistakes should be corrected. My past behavior made you misunderstand. I won't be like that anymore. My heart went cold. Those familiar lines, he'd said them in my past life too. And what happened? He turned right around and was all sweet with Sarah. I turned to the principal, my tone earnest. Principal, I really want to continue studying here. Please don't make me drop out. The principal looked at me, then at Lucas, and said after a moment of thought, Mr. Liu, since you and Miss Renee have no relationship, you cannot process her withdrawal from school. Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief. Lucas wanted to say more, but the principal cut him off. Mr. Liu, if there's nothing else, please leave. I have work to attend to. In the following days, Lucas continued to haunt me like a persistent ghost. His harassment was unbearable, and my study efficiency suffered. What gave me an even bigger headache was that Sarah also showed up. Lucas, please, let's go back and get a divorce. I don't want this. I don't want to steal my sister's husband. I'm a bad person. She tugged at Lucas's sleeve, sobbing uncontrollably. Lucas pulled her into his arms, his heart aching, gently patting her back. Sarah, there, don't cry. It's not your fault. We'll go back right away. It's my fault for letting you suffer. Sarah cried pitifully, making a show of wanting to kneel before me. Sister, I'm sorry. Don't be mad at Lucas. I know I misunderstood him and me. Don't kneel. It's my fault for making you suffer. We'll go back right now. As he said this, he shot me a glare, as if accusing me of being unreasonable. More and more students gathered around, pointing and whispering. I couldn't be bothered to watch this drama anymore, and turned to leave. If they want to act, let them. I'm not playing along. This Sarah had some skills. Lucas didn't come back that day. I threw myself into my studies, joined the school's math club, and met Ethan Gu. He was tall and thin, wore black-rimmed glasses and had a sunny smile. He was very good at math and often tutored me. Gradually, we became good friends. Just when I thought life was finally getting back on track, Lucas's letters started arriving, one after another, relentlessly. Renee, are you still mad at me? I know I was wrong. Please come back. Renee, Sarah's pregnant. The baby is mine. I know this is hard for you to accept right now, but please believe me, my heart only has room for you. Renee, there should be a limit to being upset, right? What do you want me to do for you to forgive me? I tore his pathetic letters to shreds and threw them in the trash. I don't know what makes him think I'd have a change of heart now. Probably just thick-skinned. The greasy smell of cooking oil filled the diner where I worked part-time. I efficiently cleared a table. Looking up, I saw Ethan sitting in a corner, smiling faintly at me. I avoided his gaze and continued working. When my shift ended, he was still sitting there, several untouched dishes in front of him. Let's eat together. He pointed to the seat opposite him. No thanks, I've already eaten. I tried to refuse, but my stomach let out an embarrassing growl. He chuckled softly. You can't be so thin-skinned. Come on, sit down. His hospitality was hard to refuse, so I sat down across from him. The clay pot of hot soup bubbled away, the warmth chasing away the chill from my body. I buried my head and ate, completely forgetting my manners. Slow down, no one's going to steal it from you. Halfway through my meal, I suddenly felt a tickle on my nose. I looked up and saw Ethan smiling at me, a grain of rice pinched between his fingers. Does your face want to eat too? He teased. My face flushed red, and I quickly looked down. I knew he liked me, his eyes didn't hide it. But right now, all I wanted was to focus on my studies. Everything else could wait. Winter break arrived, and Lucas's mother called me one after another, urging me to come home for New Year's. After all, they had raised me, so I couldn't be too heartless. After much thought, I bought a train ticket and returned to city with bags full of gifts. As soon as I stepped into the Liu family's house, I heard sharp yelling. Lucas, what do you mean by this? Let me tell you. I'm carrying your child in my belly, and I'm not here to be mistreated. I froze. Sarah, with a large pregnant belly, was yelling at Lucas. Lucas's face was ashen, but he didn't dare to talk back, only trying to coax her in a low voice. Sarah, calm down. The doctor said you can't get too emotional right now. It's not good for the baby. I want that coat, go buy it for me right now. Sarah, I'll buy it for you next time, okay? This month's allowance is already gone. Lucas carefully helped Sarah sit down. It's your fault for still being just a company commander. You didn't give the money to your sister, did you? Lucas's expression changed. Sarah, don't talk nonsense. We broke up a long time ago. Broke up? You think I'm stupid? You write to her every few days, you think I don't know? You don't have me in your heart at all. You only have her. Sarah cried and yelled, beating Lucas's chest. Lucas looked impatient. I told you I don't. I stood at the doorway watching this scene, finding it utterly ridiculous and laughable. In his past life, he kept in touch with Sarah behind my back. In this life, he wrote letters to me behind Sarah's back. Ultimately, he was just a person who always wanted what he couldn't have, inherently unfaithful. Lucas's mother was the first to see me. Renee, you're back. Quick, come and talk to Sarah. This child's temper is getting worse and worse. She took my hand, her tone somewhat flattering. I pulled my hand away and said lightly, I'm tired. I want to go to my room and rest first. Lucas's mother's expression stiffened for a moment, but she didn't say anything else. She turned back to coaxing Sarah in a low voice. She was like a completely different person from the imperious mother-in-law I remembered. Back in my room, I took out the New Year's gift Ethan had given me from my suitcase. A red cashmere scarf. I wrapped the scarf around my neck and looked at myself in the mirror. A smile unconsciously touched my lips. That night, there was a knock on the door. I opened the door to see Lucas standing outside, looking haggard and uneasy. Renee, let's talk. I stepped aside to let him in. He wrung his hands and finally mustered the courage to say, Renee, the wife I've always wanted is you. I've been waiting for you. Sarah's temper is getting worse and worse, and she spends money like water. I couldn't help but sneer. Waiting for me? Lucas, do you even believe that yourself? You're waiting for me while letting Sarah get pregnant with your child? What do you take me for? His face flushed red, his eyes filled with panic. Renee, let me explain. I cut him off. There's nothing to explain. You and Sarah already have a child. What else is there to say? I wish you both a long and happy life together, and may you have many children soon. He was silent for a few seconds, as if lost in thought. I've been dreaming a lot lately, dreaming that the person I married was you. You were gentle and virtuous, always at home taking care of my parents. He paused, a hint of pain in his voice. But in the dream, I only had eyes for Sarah. I neglected you, hurt you. I was such a jerk. And I even forced you to divorce me, along with our son. I was surprised. He actually dreamed of our past life. He covered his face in anguish. I wronged that version of you. And now I want to make it up to you. I suppressed the anger rising in my chest, my voice cold. If you really want to make amends, then live a good life with Sarah. Don't bother me anymore. It's better for both of us, sisters. His eyes dimmed, a hint of unwillingness in his tone. But I always feel like my wife should be you. My patience finally ran out, and I directly asked him to leave. Lucas, you should go. This isn't something you should be saying, nor is this a place you should be. He stood up dejectedly and left my room with heavy steps. Watching his retreating figure, I felt no emotion whatsoever. In both lifetimes, he constantly wavered between two women, greedily wanting to possess everything. I started to think, since Lucas and Sarah were already living here, There was no need for me to stay any longer. The Liu family home wasn't my home anyway. The next morning, I packed my bags and knocked on Mrs. Liu's door. "Auntie, thank you for taking care of me all these years. The money in this card is what I've saved over the years. Please consider it as repayment for raising me." Mrs. Liu was stunned for a moment and tried to refuse. "Renee, how can I accept this?" "Take it." I picked up my luggage and said lightly, "I have things to do at school, so I'll be leaving now." With that, I left the Liu family home without looking back, not a trace of reluctance in my heart. There was a long line at the ticket window. After finally getting my turn, I found out there were no tickets left. Checking again, the earliest available ticket was for the day after tomorrow. I ran my fingers through my hair in frustration. Where was I supposed to go? I couldn't possibly sleep on the streets. Just when I was at my wit's end, Ethan appeared before me, laden with bags. "Renee." A surprised smile spread across his face as he quickly walked over. I was a bit surprised too, and greeted him with a smile. "Ethan, what a coincidence. Are you from the city too?" "Yeah. What are you doing here? You don't have a place to go?" Ethan's voice was full of concern. "Well, why don't you come to my place for New Year's?" I was taken aback and quickly waved my hands. "Oh, I couldn't possibly." "Oh, what's there to be embarrassed about?" He smiled and said, "It's just me and my grandma at home. It's pretty quiet, so if you come it'll liven things up. Besides, it's New Year's. I wouldn't feel right leaving you all alone." He paused, then added, "Please, Renee, just think of it as keeping my poor grandma company. She gets so bored at home by herself." He put on such a pitiful face that I couldn't help but laugh. His offer was too kind to refuse, so I eventually agreed. Stepping out of the station, a cold wind blew, and I instinctively pulled my coat tighter. Seeing this, Ethan immediately took off his own overcoat and draped it over my shoulders. A faint woody scent wafted to my nose. Cold. I shook my head, but a warm feeling spread through my heart. Ethan's home was in the old district of S City, a quaint two-story building. As soon as I entered the courtyard, I smelled the delicious aroma of dumplings. An elderly woman with silver hair stood at the kitchen door, smiling warmly at us. "Ethan, you're back. And this is..." The old lady's gaze fell on me, and then she said happily, "Oh my, you actually brought a beautiful young lady home this year." I lowered my head, feeling a little embarrassed, my cheeks slightly warm. "Grandma, this is Renee, my friend," Ethan introduced with a smile. Good, come in quickly and warm up." Grandma was busy cooking dumplings, while Ethan helped me carry my suitcase to the guest room. The guest room wasn't large, but it was clean and tidy, and the bedding on the bed smelled of sunshine. "You rest for a bit, the dumplings will be ready soon," Ethan said gently after putting down the suitcase. I nodded and sat on the edge of the bed, looking at the snowflakes falling outside the window. I felt an unprecedented sense of peace and tranquility. Perhaps, this is what home feels like. In the evening, we sat around the dining table, eating steaming hot dumplings. Grandma Gu kept putting food on my plate. "Renee dear, you should come visit often. Grandma's door is always open for you." I smiled and nodded, my heart warm. After dinner, Ethan suggested taking me for a walk in the nearby park. There were very few people in the park today, just a few couples snuggled together, enjoying the rare tranquility. We walked slowly along the lake, neither of us speaking. Snowflakes fell gently, blanketing us like a thin veil. "Thank you, Ethan," I broke the silence, speaking softly. "Thank me for what?" "Thank you for taking me in, for giving me a warm haven." Ethan looked at me and teased with a smile. "Then how about you marry me as repayment?" I paused for a moment, then pretended to huff arrogantly, "In your dreams." Although I said that, a ripple went through my heart. "Then tell me, how will you repay me? I'm the hero who rescued you from the dire straits at the station, you know." His exaggerated tone made me laugh, and I deliberately put on a stern face, saying, "Hero? I think you're trying to take advantage of the situation to blackmail me, right?" He pretended to think for a moment, then said with great seriousness, "Let me think. How about you cook me one meal every day until school starts?" I couldn't help but roll my eyes. "You wish. My cooking is really average, okay?" He looked at me with a smile. "It's okay, I'm not a picky eater. Besides, even if your cooking is terrible, I'll eat every last bite. His roguish behavior made me laugh despite myself. Is that how you ask for repayment? You're clearly just trying to take advantage of me. He let out a pretend sigh of disappointment, then suddenly leaned closer to me. Well then, should I try a little harder? My cheeks felt a bit hot, and I quickly stepped back. You don't try anything funny. He looked at my flustered state and couldn't help but laugh out loud. Just kidding. He reached out and gently ruffled my hair. Let's go, back we go. Grandma will be worried. Back at the house, Grandma had already prepared steaming hot ginger soup, saying it was to ward off the cold and warm the body. Holding the ginger soup, I savored the warm atmosphere of the home. Perhaps, letting go of the past and starting anew wasn't such a bad thing after all. On New Year's Eve, fireworks lit up the entire night sky outside the window. The deafening sound of firecrackers rose and fell. Standing by the window, I felt a dazed sense of unreality, as if I were in another lifetime. Happy New Year, Renee. He was very close, his warm breath brushing my ear, making me feel a little ticklish. I turned my head and met his deep gaze. At that moment, time seemed to stand still, and my heart skipped a beat. Happy New Year, Ethan. He leaned closer to my ear and whispered, I like you, Renee. Outside, the fireworks continued to bloom. The brilliant colors illuminated my face, and also illuminated Ethan's face. The end.